Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me for Codebase Alpha this evening. It's going to be a bit of a different stream today. We've been doing quite a lot of work on the Z80 project over the past few months, really, and that's kind of nearly tied up now. So I decided to have a look at something different, and it's February, and I thought we'd do some front-end work. So front-end February on Codebase Alpha, and if you know this stream or you know me, I'm not a front-end developer by any stretch of the imagination. We've done a little bit of work on front-end stuff for UIs on the stream. I can think we've done some work with XAML and WPF on the synthesizer and the graphical debugger that we got in the Z80 project, and also some adaptive cards for the bot framework project that we did, but not an awful lot of kind of web stuff. So I thought, well, let's do some web. Why not? Why not challenge myself? So we're going to actually go really slowly with a static website. We're going to build a portfolio website, which I'll use for myself. It'll have links to my GitHub projects, maybe space for a blog, contact page, etc. Maybe an about page, something like that. And we're going to use some software from the Jamstack, the JavaScript API markdown or markup stack. The kind of technologies I've chosen for this is GatsbyJS as the static website kind of framework or library, and I can't see myself doing an awful lot in the way of CSS, to be perfectly honest. It seems like a black art. And I'm not going to be able to learn to do really nice kind of CSS in short term. So I thought we'd use a framework for that. And one of the things we could have used would be Bootstrap. There's a fair number of projects out there using Bootstrap, but I came across one called Semantic UI, and I thought, well, we'll try and use that. And that's what we're going to do. So let's have a look at the software that we're going to be trying to install tonight. So the first part of the project is to actually install all the software that we need. So let's pop over to the coding area. We actually haven't got Visual Studio Code fired up yet, but let's get some music going, shall we? I think I need some music today. There we go, a bit of relaxed daily. Okay. So GatsbyJS is our first kind of thing we need to install. So here's the GatsbyJS.org website, and their motto is fast in every way that matters. So one of the big advantages we're going to kind of benefit from having a static website is it's going to be really quick. There's going to be no dynamic content as such. Any dynamic content that we create will be actually created at build time and frozen into static web pages. Now, Gatsby is, I guess, a framework, a library. It's leveraging the React app framework. So we're going to learn a bit about React at the same time, and it'll be kind of a gentle introduction to React. Not using all of the features of React, obviously, as it's static, but it does include things like GraphQL, and we've done GraphQL on the stream before, so that should be a good revision of GraphQL. We'll have a look at that. So let's hit the Get Started button and see what we need to do. Okay, so there's the tutorial step-by-step instructions. Let's have a look. Set up your development environment. Okay. So first thing we need to install Nodejs. And we're quite lucky in that Nodejs was updated recently, and the long-term support version went from version 10 to version 12. So I've already got Nodejs over here on the browser. As you can see, new security release is now available for all release lines. So we're going to download the Windows x64 version 12.15. Let's click on this and let's run that MSI. So we're literally doing this right from the start. So I haven't got Node on my machine. We're going to install Node. So that means it might take a little while to actually get going, but I thought it'd be a good kind of documentation of the process to start from right from the very beginning. So let's click on this. Terms next. Yeah, we put it in program files Node.js. We want npm for our package manager. We want the documentation, add to the path. Yep, that seems okay. It's going to want 27 megabytes, so it's not too bad. Not too bad. Copper Beardy, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. I enjoyed your little I caught of your stream the other day, so it was interesting you talking about ethics in computing. I've got quite a lot of interest in that subject. So this is automatically install necessary tools. This will also install Chocolates, which is another package manager. So let's click on that. Let's have it install everything we're going to need, so we don't have to worry about any missing stuff. And let's click on install. Alright, so Nodejs is on its way. Shouldn't take too long to install. I haven't done an awful lot with Node in the past, and a tiny little bit. So this should be fun. So there we are, we've got Node. It's going to continue and do some Python and build some other stuff. This is 3 gigabytes worth of stuff now, so our 200 odd meg is going to soon be eaten up by another 3 gig of stuff. So here's Chocolates, which is another package manager, and I quite like Chocolates, so it's useful for installing other stuff. Okay. Fuel Snowball, seems the current state of ethics in computing is as long as I'm okay, I don't care. Yes. The thing that with ethics in computing, and you could see by the way, Fuel Snowball, is around the machine learning and the algorithms that people are using, which contain built-in bias. I think there was one example that I came across. It was an algorithm that used for recruitment, and especially for retention of talent in companies. This is the latest thing, talent retention, and it basically looked at length of service. So it figured that people who stayed longer, that kind of their personality, their background, were what they wanted to kind of bring in the future. So they kind of biased their recruitment towards the characteristics of the people who were the long servers. And it turned out that those long servers were mostly men, because the environment of the company wasn't very good for women, so women didn't stay very long. So that kind of they kind of built that bias into their algorithm, not intentionally, but by looking at those, just concentrating on a long service, they managed to build in a bias against women in their recruitment process, which I thought, is kind of typical of the use of these tools without really the knowledge of what the implications of that can be. So yeah, ethics in computing. Copyrighted streams on that are going to be kind of required viewing for me at least. Okay, so we're still going installing lots of stuff. Yeah, just in some deprecated packages there. Yeah. So while that's installing those bits and pieces, let's go and have a look at Gatsby. So there's Node.js, Linux instructions. Do that, install Git. We've got Git installed, the Gatsby command line interface. So this is the next bit we're going to do: install Gatsby as a global tool. So npm install. So let's see how we're going with this. Type enter to exit. Okay, looks like we're done. So we've got that node installed and all the associated tool set we need to actually work with Gatsby. So let's go and have a look at what the next bit is. So we need to install Gatsby CLI as a global tool. So let's bring up our command shell here. Let's type npm install -g. What was it? Gatsby -CLI. Gatsby -CLI. Oops. what I need to do here is to close that and restart it because we've obviously installed a new tool. So npm install -g Gatsby CLI. Okay. Okay, so that's installing. I don't know how long this kind of installation process is going to take. PureSnapper says when someone asks you to add a tracker to a web page, I think it's fair to ask, why do we need a tracker? Oh, another tracker, yes. Well, I asked that question as well at work because we keep adding Google Analytics kind of type things, and so our web pages are getting laden down with JavaScript. Whose only purpose is to track users, and you do wonder why we're doing it. Copy really says you need to start with ethical. Is ethical to track at all without express permissions? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And this copper thing, which is hitting YouTube at the moment, where tracking the details of minors is now illegal in the United States. It's affected a lot of people. You said a couple of people have seen Gatsby use. It looks interesting. Hopefully, get around to having a play. Yeah, so I think it does look interesting, and it's, as I say, it looks like it's a way into React apps. So a gentle introduction to the concepts of components and things like that. Okay, so we've got Gatsby installed. So what do we do next? I've got a few notes on my pad here, so let's have a look. Right, so what can we do? We need to install a kind of a starter project for us to work with. So let's have a look. Create a Gatsby site is the next thing. So over the terminal, Gatsby new, then a name of our site, and then the Hello World starter. So we'll start with the Hello World starter because that basically doesn't have any code in it, very much code in it. Just it's going to do a Hello World kind of type thing. So let's grab that code. Okay, and we'll give that a go. So we'll leave the Hello World as the project name for now, but we're gonna copy the code off into an area I've already set up for GitHub, where we're going to store our website. But we're going to see if we can get this thing kind of working, compiling first. So let's do that. Gatsby new Hello World, and then the URL for a GitHub for the starter. Off it goes. So look, at this machine should be fairly quick. So I'm hoping it's going to be it's not going to be onerous sitting here watching these things install. So Fuelcell says, here's the thing: developers, I find, get very nervous about being tracked by their employer and complain loudly. However, when adding a tracker to a website that tracks users, they had no say in the process. It's fine. Yeah, well, the problem is you get told what to do. And although I think things like GDPR do make companies think a little bit more about it, but usually it's we've got to have it. It's important for business purposes, and that's kind of the justification. Even though you've got, as you say, you might have 30 other scripts which are tracking people. I don't quite follow it. There's the kind of idea of one version of the truth. You've got your kind of your ERP system or something, which is supposed to have your finance system and your CRM and everything in there, which tells you how much money you're making and keeps track of your loyalty programs, things like that. Yet we still have Google Analytics and people creating spreadsheets and trying to forecast and report financials from Google Analytics, which I find weird when the actual kind of truth is in the finance system. Very strange. Okay, so we seem to have a Hello World site created, so let's cd into the Hello World directory. And it says do Gatsby develop. And Gatsby develop is going to start up a web browser. And hopefully a web server, sorry. So we need to allow access to Node. So we're now building the development bundle, and we have a web browser, a web server running, hosting our page at this location, localhost 8000. We also have a GraphQL IDE at this location, localhost 8000 _GraphQL, and that is called Graphical, and it's a bit like the GraphQL stuff we've done before, to kind of prototype queries. We'll look at that a bit later on, probably towards the end of the stream. I don't know how much we're going to get done today, so let's have a look. So localhost 8000, so let's go there. We should get hello world. Oops, I've just stopped it then. I think I've just stopped it anyway. Let's see. Not what I wanted to do. HTTP / localhost. I stopped the web server by hitting return, so let's just start it up again. Gatsby develop. There we go. So if we cannot connect security to this page, I've done HTTPS rather than HTTP, and we got hello world at the top there. So I don't know if we can make that bigger. Yeah. So hello world. There we go. Should be able to see that. So we've got a basic Gatsby site running, which is good. Okay, so the next thing is Semantic UI. We want to build Semantic UI into this. Control C, stop the server. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so I'm going to start up VS Code at this point, I think. So here's our directory, the hello world directory. Here's the files that we've got in it so far. Let's have a look at what makes up a Gatsby site. Obviously we've got our node modules, which will be full of stuff. We've got a public directory where we're going to build our public facing website. There's an index.html in there. We've got a static area where we can put some images. Here we've got a fav icon. We've got source directory. It's got a directory called pages, and then there's an index.js. So let's have a look at index.js. This is a React component. Okay, so this is fairly interesting. So we're importing from our React package, the React library, I guess you'd call it, and then we're exporting this using this fat arrow notation, this functional notation here. We're exporting what looks like some HTML, but this is JavaScript, so it can't be HTML. And what this is something called JSX, so it's a JavaScript extension, and it's HTML-like in its appearance. So that's all there is to it. So what else have we got? We've got a Gatsby config here, which doesn't have anything in it yet. We've got our package.json, which is over here. So let's have a look at this. So we need to change this a bit. So we're just going to change the kind of we're going to change the metadata that we've got in here. So this is going to be Codebase Alpha dev the Codebase Alpha portfolio site. So this is going to be eventually smb/Codebase Alpha. Not at the moment. Eventually it's going to be. Okay, that's pretty much it, I think, in terms of setting that up. So let's save that. So we've got some scripts that we have to run. There's Gatsby build, Gatsby develop, which we've seen. There's a prettier script here, which will run the prettier kind of code formatter for us. We've got npm run develop, which is an anagram, which is a shortcut. Start is a shortcut for that, and then starting a server, clean the project, and then there's all this unit testing, which we probably won't get into. Okay, and our dependencies: Gatsby, React, and React DOM. So we're going to need some more dependencies in there, I think, but we'll leave that for the moment. Okay, let's have a look what we need to do next. So, as I said, I'm not really going to be that interested in learning lots and lots of CSS. So I wanted a kind of a styling framework to use. Bootstrap 4 was the obvious choice, so I didn't make that one. So I decided to use Semantic UI, and it has a couple of features which are quite interesting. So the reason why it's called semantic is actually they use kind of ordinary words to define the styling. So, for example, in this example, we've got UI, 3, and buttons are the class names. So this div, everything starts UI, and then it's going to have 3 buttons. Then we've got UI active button, UI button, UI button, and you can see this is the styling that it's given that. I think it's quite neat, really, that you have just these kind of English words. What you're crying about, Fuel Snable. Okay, so this is what we're going to use, and it's got some nice themes, but we're going to kind of go with the default theme initially. The theming will come later, and it seems to look reasonably kind of nice for what we want to do. It's got cards, and I want to use cards. It's got the usual kind of features you can use, like these accordion things, and it's got message and drop downs. It's got sliders and switches and text boxes. It's got these nice tags and nice link boxes here, search boxes. So this seems ideal for me who doesn't want to do an awful lot in the way of styling. So we need to install this, and then I did find a website which went through the steps used to integrate Gatsby and Semantic UI. Okay. So we're going to install a few bits and pieces. So it says, let's assume you want to make changes to our theme. So we may not make changes to our theme, but let's not kind of paint ourselves into a corner where we can't make changes to the theme. So we're going to need to start by installing Semantic UI less and Gatsby plugin less. Okay. I think I also want, as well as less support, I want SAS support as well. So we're going to put in Node SAS support. And let's start just by doing those bits. So over here, in our hello world, we're going to install those components. So Semantic UI less and Gatsby plugin less. So npm install --save, and that's going to make sure it updates our package.json. So we're building up our dependencies, and it was Semantic UI less. Semantic. Semantic UI less, that's it. Let's install that. So lots and lots of npm installs going on. So that's it. So it's got some vulnerabilities in there, but we'll run the audit in a bit and see what happens. Okay, so we want to also run Gatsby. What was it? Gatsby plugin less. Okay. Let's install that. So we're just kind of prepping our environment at the moment. We've got a basic hello world working. Let's kind of put in the bits that are going to enable us to make something a bit better than the hello world. Okay, so I think we also want to have Node Sass in there. So Sass is CSS, what they call supercharged CSS. So it gives us some abilities to use variables and mixins and things like that, which I've never really used. But let's give ourselves the ability to explore that rather than not having it at all. And we'll install it right from the start. And there's going to be a plugin, a Gatsby plugin we'll need to install as well for Sass. And that's going to be Gatsby plugin Sass. So we'll install that as well. There it goes. Luckily it's quite quick. So we want there at Gatsby. Sass. Okay, so we've got the basic components in there. That's what's the next step we do. So we need to, it says we need to install, after we've installed the Gatsby plugin less and the Sass one, I assume, we need to bring it into gatsby.config, gatsby.config.js rather. And it's this code here. Okay, so let's do that. So we want our Gatsby config, and it's in module exports. So this is going to be the plugins thing here, and we're going to have an array of plugins. So we want to go, I think it was backtick. Yes, it's backtick. So that's important to note. The backtick Gatsby plugin less and Gatsby in Sass. So we need to have the less package in there, basically because that's the format in which Semantic UI is going to be distributed to us. But we're not going to use less ourselves. We're going to use Sass. Your Snowball. Oh, Marcus, voice programmer, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. A stands for awesome. So it's still talking about security and tracking by the look of it. So okay, so let's save that. So we've done that bit. What's next? So second, make a new folder inside your source folder. Call it Semantic. Now poke around in your Node modules folder for Semantic UI less. Okay, well let's make the folder first. So in our source, did it say? In our inside your source folder, yes, okay. The new folder, Semantic. Okay, so now we've got to go and have a look in our Node. So look in our Node modules folder with the one with the 50,000 files in it, no doubt, and look for Semantic US. Look for the site folder, copy that into the source Semantic as a new folder called site. Okay, go and have a look for that. So we're in Hello World at the moment. Now we want to go into Node modules. Semantic UI less site directory. So we grab that, copy it, go into source Semantic in there. Rename it site. Okay. Leave original. Same with the theme theme.config.example, copy into source semantic and rename it this time to theme.config. Okay. Theme.config.example, grab that. Back into here, source semantic. Paste it there, and then change the name, get rid of the .example. There we go. Okay. So, yep, so we need source semantic site and source semantic theme.config. So, we've got that. Okay, third, some people run into a problem with fonts, paths, and icons. Add the following to the theme.config. So the font path, okay, if we grab that. Config. Oh, look at that. Very good. Selects pop that font path at the bottom there. And there was another thing we had to do in here. What was that? Change the location for our theme. So where it said ..source okay, that we need to change it to this. Okay, so okay, now we need to have this site folder where we had site folder. Okay, site folder. What we'll do is we'll comment that out. Add that. Fuel Snowball. I like. Oh, okay. She's still talking about data security and data protection here. A dry subject. I'll have a drink. And I know one Fuel Snowball that affects you on a daily basis, so I understand that you are very invested into this kind of thing. Okay, what else? Well, you had an import multiple thing. Let's add this instead. Okay, import multiple. That's there, isn't it? Let's just comment that out as well. So hopefully that will be okay. Let's save that. So that's reflecting the updates. We've moved our semantic stuff too. What's next? The fifth, in Gatsby Node.js, add the required path. Okay, so we haven't got a Gatsby Node.js, so let's create that. So that's in the directory. So oops, add a folder. So this is don't want to be there. I'll move it. Gatsby Node.js. I want to move that here. In Node.js. Where's it gone? There it is. Why is that a directory, not a file? Let's delete that. And we'll just create it through here. So hello world, new folder, Gatsby Node, not folder, file. That's what I did wrong, wasn't it? I created a new folder and then let's do it properly then. It's going to be a new file and it's Gatsby Node.js. There we go. So what's got to go in there? They want to put const path equals require path, and those quotation marks look all wrong. So let's fix that up while we're at it. That in here. We've got proper quotation marks in there. Save that. Okay. Okay, what's this? So then use onCreateWebpackConfig to set the correct theme config. Your new one, Semantic UI less. Okay, so this is part of the kind of the life cycle of a Gatsby or React application. So we just need to grab this code. This will also go into our node, Gatsby Nodejs. Pop that in here. Save that. Let's have a look what that does. So when we create onCreate Webpack configs, when we create the configuration for Webpack, which is the kind of transpiler that we're using, it's going to set the theme config path to source semantic theme config. So it's just basically configure that for us. So we're pointing at the right location because we've moved where the theme normally would live. Okay, so that's fair enough. And we're not referencing semantic anywhere else, so this sixth step isn't required. So let's see if we still actually build okay. So let's do a Gatsby develop. So it builds all that and see if there's any problems. So Gatsby config. Gatsby plugin less declared. Couldn't find it. Really? Let's have a look at our. Well, we'll probably need to do a. Thought we should have installed that. Let's have a look at our package.json. Gatsby plugin less. Gatsby plugin SAS. So npm install. Let's do that. See what happens. Let's try a Gatsby develop. Oh. Local plugin. Hello world plugins Gatsby plugin. Oh, I spelt it wrong, love. That's the problem. So that's typical of me, isn't it? So Gatsby plugin here should be correct. It is. I spelt it wrong in the Gatsby node here. No, in the config here. There we are. So that's a typical code-base alpha SMB style problem. Okay, we should be able to fix that, and we should be able to do Gatsby develop now. Okay, so that's still building okay, and if we go to Rumbling Geek, thank you for the subscription, wonderful stuff. Let's have some hyperspatial hype for that subscription. That's wonderful, thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to go to http://localhost 8000, and we still get our hello world. So installing Semantic UI hasn't broken our environment. Well, obviously we're not using it yet. Okay, so we've got quite a few bits and pieces in place now. Let's our server. Okay, I think it's time that we moved our code into our source control directory. So let's do that. Okay. So how are things, Rumbling Geek? Are you having a good evening? Okay, let's have a look. So, yes, hello world. Grab cache, node modules, public source. Ignore. We don't need these. Ignore. I don't think. That one. And that one. Let's copy those and move them over into our codebase alpha directory, which is waiting to receive. Actually, there's a license file there, but we don't want to overwrite. Go back. Hello world. We want cache. Node modules, public source, static. Don't want git ignore. Don't want license, and we don't want readme. Those and pop them into here. Okay. That's going to take a little while because of all those billions of look at this, items remaining 35,000. All those node modules that we copied across. It's a funny ecosystem, Node, I think. Okay. So what kind of website are we looking to build? Well, let's have a kind of little think about what kind of thing it could look like. So if we kind of draw a web page, we're going to want a header, the footer, which remain on the page. We've got kind of a scrollable area in the middle here. I think I want like a circular kind of avatar for Codebase Alpha, and then a title, which we can click to go back to home. Then I kind of want some buttons over here to go to various pages. Got some text down here. Maybe this could grow. At the moment, just a bit of text. And that's probably what we'll aim to get working this evening. And then inside here, we're going to want some kind of text, introducing the site, and maybe want our social media buttons. Social. And then what I've kind of thought is like a kind of grid here. Made up of cards. And each card is a project. From GitHub. So what we can do is use GraphQL to connect to our GitHub repository and actually pull out all the projects and then create dynamically at build time, not dynamically in terms of on the server, but when we build the project, build our site, it will go and grab all these things and out of GitHub, and it will create a card for each of them, and maybe when we click on them, it'll take us to the GitHub project. And then we probably want, I don't know, what do we want, a blog? So button for a blog, so we're going to want to be able to create a system where we can write blog posts, maybe a, I don't know, an about, maybe a contact. Page, and we want pages for those kind of things. So I'm kind of thinking that's what our kind of portfolio site's going to look like. It's going to concentrate on the projects. Maybe we'll have links in here so to the YouTube playlists for the videos which kind of cover each project, something like that. Maybe even have links to the YouTube playlist as well. People can go directly from here to our YouTube channel, to the Twitch site. We'll have some kind of call out to the live coders as well. So that sounds a kind of a plan, really. So that's, I think we'll try and aim for something like that. So this evening we'll try and get the basic framework of that done, and then we've got plenty of scope for future streams to start building these components. And these components are going to be the most interesting parts because we're going to be using kind of GraphQL and looking at the life cycle of a Gatsby site, because we're going to have to build these project cards and fill this grid out with them, and also create our blog at build time, and that means we need to look at the life cycle of a Gatsby site. So that should have copied by now. So let's cd up to a directory and just make sure it's working. Develop. It's going to do a build, and we'll go over here. And we should have hello world, which we do. Lovely. Okay, so what do we need to do next? Well, I think what we'll do is to commit what we've got to GitHub. Let's get that out of the way, because we've got the basics of a working site. We've got Gatsby installed. We've got it integrated with Semantic UI. At least it's not complaining, or the things we've done haven't broken the site. So we assume that we've got Semantic UI actually installed. So let's quickly do a git add. We'll do a git commit initial commit. Okay, and we'll do a git. Okay, so if we now wander off to GitHub, we can get rid of this, I think, now, so I can probably go in from here. There we go. Here's the Codebase Alpha GitHub repositories I previously created before the stream started. And here's all the stuff we've created. So we've got a basic README in place. It hasn't obviously installed the things we don't want it to install, so it hasn't kind of put in the node modules or any env files we may have. That's the git ignore working, and we've got that in our master branch. So I think what we need to do is see if we can actually deploy this. And I've got a Netlify account here, so let's see if we can link our GitHub to Netlify. We can see what happens. So we're linked into the GitHub repos, and let's find Codebase Alpha, that one there we want. And we've got master. It's Gatsby build and public. So Gatsby build is the build command, public is the directory where we're going to build into. Let's deploy the site and see what happens. Site deploy in progress. Priceless Galileo. I love these weird names they come up with. That's very much like a Docker. These must be deploying into Docker, I should imagine, are they? Priceless Galileo, and then part of a GUI. It sounds very much like a Docker image name. I don't know how long it's going to take to deploy. Shouldn't take too long, would I have thought. Once we've got this kind of connected, every time we push to our master branch, we're going to be able to, it's going to deploy to Netlify automatically. And Netlify is going to be a good kind of basis for storing our site at. There's a lot of integration that's been done with Netlify and Gatsby. So I could have used a GitHub static site as well, but as I've got the codebasealpha.dev domain name, let's use it. Not as deployed. So domain settings. So currently it's that. Add a custom domain. This is going to be codebasealpha.dev. Let's see if that works. Is it you? Yes, add domain. Could not provision a Let's Encrypt certificate. I thought there would be. Verifying domain configuration. Successful, provision a certificate. Okay, do that. Did it do it or not? Or is that an old message? Verify domain provision. Okay, well, not sure what's going on there. Let's have a look here. There we are. Waiting on DNS propagation. Let's see what happens when we click on this. Oh, it is not secure. Interesting. Well, I might have to sort this out. Certificate error. Okay, well I might have to sort this out off air. It could be just taking a while to actually provision my certificate. HTTPS. Could not provision a Let's Encrypt certificate. Verify. We're ready to provision a certificate from this domain. Provision certificate. So let's refresh and see what's happening. I think I'll just leave that for the moment, and we'll see what goes on a bit later on. Okay, so let's do a bit of coding, shall we? We've got our basic site deployed. So let's think. Let's have a look at our index.js file. So what we're going to want to do is this is a React component, and it's a very basic React component. We're going to want to kind of to work on this a bit more. Now I think we need to install another npm package. So what I'd like to be able to do is use some of the semantic UI components as React components, rather than having to use markup all the time. So we can use angle brackets and then the name of the semantic UI component. So let's install that. So npm install -save, and it's going to be semantic UI React. I think that's what it is. Let's see if we can install that. Okay. Installed. Okay, good. Okay. So let's think. We're going to want a header. We're going to want a header, aren't we? Okay, so let's create a new component to take our header. So let's create a new file in the pages directory, and we're going to call this header.js. Okay. So let's have a look at our index. This first line is obviously very important. We're creating a React component, so let's get React into our project. Okay. Let's think. Okay. So let's create a constant, call it header. This is going to be a React component, so we do a capital H, the component, and that's going to be, we're going to define that with as a functional component with a fat arrow. And what are going to be want? We're going to want a div. So this is JSX. It's not really writing. We're not really writing HTML here. And then we're going to want a header. We need a div to enclose everything. So we need a div as our outer level because a React component returns one thing normally, unless it's a fragment. It returns one thing. So let's use semantic markdown as well. So we want a header, and inside that header we want something which is responsive, so like some kind of flex type thing. So let's go over to Semantic UI. So container. Container designed to contain page elements to a reasonable maximum width based on the user's screen. So it restricts to a reasonable size for the display. So it's going to do all this automatically for us. So this is what I like about using something like this. It's a kind of a styling framework. That's a container. Okay, we'll try a container. So we're going to need to import the container. Okay, so import. So this is going to be an object or a thing called container, and we're going to get that from the React Semantic UI React. I think that should bring us in a container, and then we should be able to just pop a container component into here. So this is how React kind of works. We build up a nested containers, really, nested components, React components. Okay. So what we're going to want, we want a nice fat header, and we're going to want to say base alpha. Dev, and then that should be enough to start with. So let's save that, and we're going to want a footer, aren't we? So let's work on the header to start with. In our index, we kind of want to we kind of want to reference. We want a kind of a layout, but in .NET ASP.NET Core, we have the concept of layout. So let's create a layout, which is like a template for our page. And let's create another component called layout.js. I'm going to import React from React. We'll do that in all of our files. Oh, one thing we need to do before we do anything else is make sure we export our header. So export default. So that makes the component available. Okay, so we've got that. Layout.js. So what's the layout going to look like? Well, it's going to be a const layout, and that's going to be once again one of these fat arrow functions, and then we can, so we don't forget, we'll export default layout straight away. Okay. With a layout, we need it to be able to take kind of child. It's gonna be a wrapper, so we need to be able to pass a child component into it. And with React, we can pass what we call props in. So in the function, we're going to pass in the props, and we're going to make this into curly braces now rather than round braces. And we're going to say this is probably the same actually for header.js. So let's no, that should be okay. Yeah, we'll use a slightly different syntax. We're going to return a value. Best thing to do. So let's return something in here. Okay, so it's going to be a div again, isn't it? Like that. And we're going to have the header. The capital H. We're going to the header out, and then we're going to put whatever we pass in as child components. So in JSX we put that in curly braces. This is going to be a JavaScript expression which we're going to evaluate. So props. I think children is what we want. Props.children. So that means when we use layout, we can kind of use layout to wrap around any child components, and they will appear there. We'll have our header. Okay. So, and we're going to want a footer eventually as well. So there'll be a footer, header and footer, and that will kind of define our page. Our page will consist of a header, whatever we have between the header and the footer, and then the footer. We haven't got the footer yet, so let's stick to that. So over in index, let's have a look what we're going to do here. We're going to need to bring our header. This doesn't know about header yet, so let's bring that in. So import header from, and where's it going to be? It's in the same directory as this, and it's in the header file. So that should bring our header in. And we're going to want something very similar to that in our index. And we want to bring in layout. Okay. Then we're going to change this then. Okay, so this is going to look something along the lines of. In fact, we don't need to return anything here. We can let's define something called index page. So const. I like this format of using the const. Index page. That's going to be once again a fat arrow functional component, and we're going to have layout. Like that, and that's going to wrap around the child, whatever child we push into it. So the child is going to be, I don't know, we'll have a container. We've got that kind of flexible area which will expand and contract nicely, and then inside that, I don't know, we'll have H2. Just put something in there for the moment. H2. We'll have waving hand. Waving hand sign. Yeah. From code base alpha. So let's have a look. So we're importing layouts, so we can use our layout. We need to import container, don't we? So import. Use deconstruction here, container from Semantic React. Got a container, we index page, we're exporting the index page. So that looks okay. Got a header, importing container into this. Using some text in the header. And our layouts, right header, children. So let's just give that a go and see what it does. Gatsby develop. We're going to leave Gatsby develop running now. Okay, so this now, if we leave that running, and we kind of got hot reload. We go over to our site over here. Let's have a look. There's hello world. It hasn't changed at all, has it? Let's have a look. Oh, that's interesting. Why hasn't that changed? That's a bit mystifying. Let's okay. That's picking up completely the wrong site, isn't it? Why would that be? Let's stop it. Close that. Reopen it. I'm in the wrong directory, aren't I? I've created this. I'm still editing in the wrong directory. So let's come out of that. Yes, I thought there was something wrong there. So let's go into hello world. source pages, grab those 3 pages out of there, copy into Codebase Alpha, source pages, drop those into there. Okay, and now we need to actually develop in the right location, so code dot. There we are, much better. Okay, so now we can once again do a Gatsby develop in here. Build, nice and quick. Got an error. It is not defined. Okay. Emojis should be wrapped in a span. Okay, we've got, so that's an interesting thing we just learnt. So let's go and sort the emoji out first. Span. That's wrapped in a span now. It says header wasn't defined, didn't it? So layout. Here it is. So somehow I didn't save. Import header from dot slash header. Just header should be fine. Save. Develop. Go hopefully. One problem. This is ESLint saying it wants a role of image. Okay, so this is accessibility. We'll fix that in a second. So let's just make sure that our site. Okay. So we've got codebasealpha.dev here, and we've got hello from Codebase Alpha, and this bit here is our header, and this is our actual kind of text container where the site's going to build. Okay, so got it somewhere. Let's fix this. So emojis should be wrapped in a span, have role of image, and have an accessibility description with area label or area labeled by. Okay, so we'll be good citizens, so role equals image and area label equals waving hand emoji. That's going to rebuild. Okay, that seems happy. Okay. So what? Let's get a footer, and then we can have a footer on the page as well. Okay, so let's, in our pages directory, let's create a footer.js. Okay, so import React from React. And const footer equals and export default footer. Okay, so we need to, in here we're going to put some JSX. So in our footer, let's have a div. and we'll have another container. We'll have some semantic HTML, so footer. And inside that we'll have a container. So you need to import that. So import. Waveways, thanks for the follow. Have some electric Alf hype. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. We want container. This is going to be from Semantic UI React. We've got a container, and inside that we simply want, what do we want? Built with let's have an A tag. GatsbyJS. An href in there of GatsbyJS.org, I think it was. https:// and with a tag, I don't know, Semantic UI, href, going to be over here. SMB 2020. Okay, so that's a footer. That'll do. Save that. Open our layout. Let's import the footer from its JavaScript file. Right. Okay, and footer in there. And then we can simply pop in our footer into that location there. Save that and go and look at our local host. And there we go. So we've got our header and footer. And we really want these to open a new tab rather than going away from our site. I don't know how to do that, so let's go and have a look at that. HTML A tag, anchor tag, open new tab. Target is underscore blank. That's good. So we can go and change that. That will be in our footer. So we stick target underscore blank in there. So it's saying using target blank without a rel, no opener, no referrer is a security risk. So let's add to that then. I've not heard of that one before, but there we go. Oops, didn't need to do that. Oops. What's the next? Rel. Rel no opener, no referrer. Okay. Rel equals no opener, no referrer. Is that it? 2 R's. Where have we gone? Okay. Quickly run that up and take a change. So if you say, well, what are the benefits of making ref struct compared to a struct? I noticed some drawbacks. What's that in relation to your stable? Sorry. Okay, so now when we click this, it should open a new. It does. Okay, so this we've got a header and footer, and we've got some content that lives between a header and footer. I think we need to do some styling, don't we? Because this is pretty basic. So let's have a look at what we can do in terms of styling. Okay. Let's start with the footer. What I thought we'd do is we use just random .NET question. Okay, anyone like to help FuelStable with this question? I'm not sure. Well, you're going to use CSS modules, I think, so that we can write more bits of CSS or SCSS. It's going to be Sass, and we haven't got to worry about namespace collisions. So what we'll do is try out CSS modules in this project. These are all things I've been reading about over the past few days in preparation for the stream. I thought we'll try and use some of these features that maybe people haven't seen before. So on a new file, this is going to be footer.module.scss. So it's a Sass file. We're not at this stage going to use any Sass. So, so what do we want to put? We want to style this somehow, don't we? So it's going to be fairly simple. Let's have a class name of footer. And what's the class? The little CSS I know. I don't know an awful lot of CSS, so if you don't come to the stream or watch the video expecting to be blinded by fantastic CSS. So we want to do position. So we want this to be at the bottom of the web page and stay at the bottom, stay stuck to the bottom. Pardon me. So we want an absolute position. And we want it to be at the bottom. We want it to be take the full width of the page. %100% width. Yeah. Just that. Okay. We'll save that. So, in order to apply the style to our footer, we need to go into our footer and we need to bring that style in. And we can give it a name for a namespace or whatever. So, that's going to be an import. And we'll be consistent, we'll call it styles. And we'll use that whenever we do these imports. The styles from /footer module.css. Okay. And then what we can do then, once we've got that, that's footer, not footer. There we are, footer.module.css. And then what we can do is we can actually apply a style. We'll apply it to our div. And what we have to do, rather than having hyphens, we don't use the kebab case, the hyphens between the words. We use capital, so we use camel case in React. So this is going to be footer class. Okay. What we need to do is to pop that. We don't use quotation marks. What we have to do is actually evaluate an expression, and it's going to be styles.footer. So that's a JavaScript expression, and it's basically bring in that style module there. Okay, so let's have a look at what difference that might have made. Now that's stuck at the bottom, as you can see. If we could scroll, it would scroll around. So we've got kind of our footer. We might want to center it and things like that, but worry about that kind of thing in a moment. So what else can we do? Well, we can style our container, our footer. So let's use some semantic UI. Let's say class name equals, and we're going to use quotation marks this time. So all the semantic UI classes, very first one you have to use is UI. Okay. We want this to be I think we want it to be black on white. So you can see at the moment our web page is white. We can invert the colours of this footer. Okay, so having done a little bit of reading around the semantic UI, ready for the stream, let's hope I can remember how to do this. We want vertical inverted. Okay, footer and segment. So what this is saying is that we're going to invert the colours. So if the rest of the page is black on a white page, this is going to be white on a black page. It's going to have some footer styling applied to it, and it's going to be a segment. It's going to be a section of the website. These segments basically define kind of areas of your website, and sometimes you can see it draws a very faint little kind of rectangle around them, and you can use that to kind of split your website up into little areas. Like it's more like a div. It's a style div, really. Let's save that. That's not had any effect whatsoever, has it? So we got an error. Looks okay. So what's wrong? What have I done wrong? That should have had some kind of impact, I would have thought. Oh, I've misspelt class name, so it needs a capital N, so it's camel case. So let's go back here. And it still had no appreciable effect. Why is that not doing anything? UI vertical inverted footer segment. That seemed like the right thing to me. I wonder if any of this styling is actually working. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I'm not doing anything silly, have I? So Well, let's see if we can. Let's try and style the header and see what happens with that, because it should be picking up our semantic UI stuff. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do npm install. Make sure we've not missed any of the semantic stuff. So we've got some warnings. Requires TypeScript. Oh look, requires a period of less. No, less isn't installed. So let's do an npm install -- save of less at 3.0.0. That's that or that, and that's 3. So Gatsby plugin there. So let's install that. And there's also complaining about a period of TypeScript part of it there as well. Deprecated. Use upgrade latest version. ES utils requires a period of TypeScript. Let's do TypeScript as well then. npm install -- save TypeScript at, and what was it? Greater than 2.8.0. Greater than or equal to 2.8.0. If that makes any difference. Bootstrap, yes. Wait. We're not using Bootstrap now. We decided to use Semantic UI for just for something different from Bootstrap. I could have installed Bootstrap. Maybe I should have done, but anyway, that's beside the point. So let's do Gatsby develop and see if that's made any difference whatsoever. No, it hasn't. Well, that's interesting. What's going on? Wouldn't be a stream without weird issues, would it? Optional dependencies, that's fine. Roll back this thing, but that seems to be done with FS events anyway, and FS events is one of these optional dependencies. There's some security issues we'll deal with at some point. I'm a bit mystified, folks, why that is having no effect. A bit worrying, because if my semantic UI classes aren't going to have an effect, then we're a bit stuck, really. Gatsby node. source semantic theme.config. Let's make sure we've got everything named correctly. Theme.config. Semantic. I think we need to try and apply some more styling somewhere. Let's try on the header. So what we'll do, I'm going to go and get the Codebase Alpha logo. So that'll be over here. And this. Copy that and drop it into our static directory. So that'll be Codebase Alpha static. Drop that into here. Okay. So in our header, we want the image to appear. So we're going to need to import the image. So import avatar from, and it's going to be a static directory. So that's up one, up another one, static / avatar be called avatar code.jpg. Okay, that's that. So let's have, what do we have? Let's put an image here. What did I plan to do with the header? Yeah, it's just stick a span. There, put an image. Closing one. Oops. We're going to have a source of, and we need to then put it in curly brackets. It's going to be avatar. That. And we'll be good and have an alt text on that. Codebase Alpha logo. Save that. Are we getting an error? Yeah, I've got an error. Interesting. Why do you think it's locked? Oh, fun. There we go. And we got an enormous, great big Codebase Alpha image there. Okay, so we need to cope with that. Okay, so we got the image in. Okay. So let's style the header a bit. Let's get some styling for the header. Let's have a new file, header.module.css. And for this thing, really, what we're going to need to have is a header class, and the header class should say something, I don't know. We say let's not have a header module for now. Let's try to use some semantic UI on the header. So we got container, we got the avatar. So if we give the image a class name, and the image is class name of we use UI, and it's an avatar, an image. I wonder what that will do to our image, if anything. Nothing. So for some reason, I feel that our semantic UI is not working. What do I do in life? I'm a back-end developer, way. So this is a big departure for me to start working front end. So this is the challenge for our front end work. Mike Holloway, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. It's going well, thank you very much. I'm a bit kind of stumped about why my styling classes aren't being picked up. It's a bit of a mystery. But again, these things do mystify me, because it's here 2.8.0. Ooh, what's that? That's something that's wrong, isn't it? So that's something weird. 2.8.0. Let's get rid of that. Go into here. Package.json. 2.8.0 was something. Was our TypeScript, wasn't it? We wanted greater than or equal 2.8.0 TypeScript. Semantic UI. Got that. Semantic UI React. Semantic UI less. Okay. React DOM React Node Sass less. Gatsby plugin Sass. Gatsby plugin less. Gatsby. That's the latest version of Gatsby. Save. And then in our Gatsby node, we've got our require path, exports on webpack config. What was the other thing we changed? It was themes.config, wasn't it? Themes folder looks wrong, doesn't it? So what was... Oh, maybe it's okay. Let's go back to that that page we were looking at. Go here to web, how to integrate Gatsby UI. So Gatsby plugin less. Let's make sure we've got the plugins working. So that's in the Gatsby config. Gatsby plugin less, Gatsby plugin Sass. Got backticks, and it's in a module exports. Plugins in in an array, and that looks fine. Okay. Store semantic site, store semantic theme.config. We've got that. Font path. It's fonts. Adding following to the theme.config. So we added that, I believe. Theme.config. There it is, font path. Okay. Site folder. Where you had site folder, add site folder, that. Where you had import multiple theme less, add import multiple semantic UI less, theme less. And the required path. And that. Well, that looks okay, doesn't it? So you're a desktop front-end dev, Fuel Snable. Yeah, what is it? WinForms. I hate it when this kind of thing happens because we've followed the instructions from that. Semantic. Right, it should contain all the bits that. All the site bits and pieces. They're all there. Nothing in my notes is helping me because this. All I've got is just install this, follow that web page. Oh dear. Sorting index. Nothing. So it's the footer that's not styling, is it? Nothing's styling properly. So this class name is not getting styled on the footer. Nor is it styling the image as an avatar. Oh, it's a misspelt image for a start. But I don't suppose that's going to have any effect. We'll try it. No. So let's go back tools. So we got some warnings. This is probably going to help us. So we got class name, invalid class name. So wonder when that was. So what I'm going to do, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to view this in here. So React hot loader, not. That's why we're having to press refresh all the time, which is a bit weird. React hot loader, React DOM patch, not detected. Strange. So the interesting thing now is it's all black, isn't it? So that it's almost as that inverters worked here. What could I try? Okay, well, let's go to the header. Header.js. Let's give this a class name. UI. Save that. The hot loader is not working, and then we're going to look at the elements. Got UI in container, look. Plus UI avatar image. Okay. UI inverted. It changes the look of it. It doesn't. It's picking up my class names but not applying them. No errors in here. Use WPF expert back in 2010, 2013. Yes, so I have leaned on you quite a lot to learn some WPF myself and some XAML. So thank you for that help on that. But yeah, I do quite enjoy working with it, but it's not something that comes natural to me. I don't think I'm much of a UI kind of designer. And I'm sure there's lots of tricks to WPF I'd like to be able to do, especially with the Z80 project. There's some stuff I'd like to be able to do in the debugger, like setting breakpoints, which I need to kind of figure out how to do. So let's give it another go. Let's style this as a header. No, as a menu. Just having no effect on the styles, is it? I don't understand why. Okay, so let's have a Google, see if we can. It's unlikely to find anything. Not applied. This is actually something I can't build at all. Build failure. We don't get a build failure, it just ignores it, doesn't it? It's started to become one of those things where we're going to have to try and fix it off stream. I don't like doing that. So Field Sample says WPF, in my humble opinion, is a complex but good architecture. Complexity distracts obviously, but it's well thought out. Yeah, I think it's okay. A lot of the way you can break up the different components of the UI into their own files. That makes it a lot more manageable. Something I didn't do in the synthesizer project, but which I did do for the graphical debugger in the Z80 project. So yeah, the thing I found was when it's all in one file, it's fine until you want to change stuff. So it became a lot more usable when you can split it up, and I discovered that the hard way, really, or just by pure ignorance, not knowing you could do that initially. This one's saying, to use a post install. I don't know what that means though. Theme conflict or node module by like that. Then we don't need to add any lines of code to the Gatsby. So it must be this. It must be this. This Gatsby node stuff that's. Well, I misspelled it. It's Gatsby-node.js. So let's go back to this. Here. Gatsby-node.js. Require path. Blah blah blah. Gatsby-node.js. That looks okay, doesn't it? Node exports. This bit obviously isn't doing this, is it? Because it's not picking our themes up. Why isn't hot reload working? That's the other question I've got. Gatsby developed. Number of have changed. Pages. Looking about Gatsby configs. Load plugins. Initialize cache. Bootstrap. Create schema customization. I can't see the webpack thing. On create webpack config. And the correct theme config, your new one to semantic UI less. I don't see this happening when we do a build. Have a look at it. Plugins extend and mutate the Webpack configuration. See documentation. So, example exports on create Webpack config. Can't be that because that's so ridiculous if that was resolve. We're passing actions in. Actions set Webpack config. Resolving an alias. Picking the DNAME, which is the directory this is the root directory of our site. Popping source semantic theme.config. Oh, source semantic. Are we in source? Yes, we are in source. Oh, we are in source. Source semantic. Bit weird about this. That is the site. Yes. Problems. You want that? What's the time? Getting away here. We're gonna run out of time here to get this fixed. There's several weird things here with the hot loader not working. Have a look. If we can look at what that means. hot loader. The problem is I don't understand some of what this is trying to tell me. Webpackconfig.js. I haven't got a webpackconfig.js, I don't think. What was over in the hello world? Oh, I don't like problems like this, viewers, when I don't understand what's going on. This is the problem about me venturing out of my comfort zone. Hit a problem like this, and this is the kind of problem it's also I'll also fix in 5 minutes of stopping the stream. Well, I've got nowhere near where I wanted to get. Why is it not including that? So frustrating. Can we try and do about it? I don't think I've missed any files. Ignore. Package.json should be correct. I'm mightily confused. Our package.json, we don't need hot reload, all that stuff. That sure should be taken care of according to that. According to this, what is it saying to fix? How to fix it? Really, not really clear what to fix it. Good. You need to add the match version for React Hot DOM to your package file. Your webpack config. I don't have a webpack.com. Using the Webpack plugin in conjunction with Babel plugin does not remove the warning. Solely using the Webpack plugin doesn't do that. Only using the Babel plugin combined with that hot loader React DOM and Webpack config alias does. Don't understand. You see, React hot loader. Webpack config.js. I think I'm getting tired of looking at this. I think let's not look at that. Semantic theme. He was doing all this. There's that basic stuff that we were trying to use. Dot theme config. Link the current theme config files to a node module by post install like this. Post install. I don't know what this means though. That's also a symbolic link. Okay, so this is what we're using, isn't it? He's patching stage in. Related to Gatsby. Currently semantic is incompatible with less 3. At the drain grade to 273. Okay, 273. Let's try that. Less. Let's try that, shall we? npm install. So what have we got here? Okay. Gatsby develop. Can it possibly make any difference? Oh, I thought it was then. I thought it was going to make a difference, but it made no difference whatsoever. Mind you, this has changed here, hasn't it? That has changed. Okay, let's have a look. Let's remove that. Was it rebuilt? Why is that now small, whereas it wasn't before? There's our footer, UI vertical inverted footer segment. Eat it when we get into a stream like this and nothing is making sense. It's probably some silly error of mine, isn't it? I gotta wonder whether it's this Gatsby node here. correct, that looks fine. It's exactly what we copied from the previous instruction. Node modules, less presumably. There's less. Plugin less. Plugin less. Plugin staff. Everything seems to be there. What could we do? I'm moving those into a components directory. Oops, that didn't work. Those into components. There. That would mean that we go back to here, index, the components.layout. I'm sure this has nothing to do with it. The structure of my product shouldn't actually matter. I'm interested in the fact that's gone small. That wasn't small before, and I don't think I've applied any styling to the footer to make it like that. Let's have a look. So footer, and components just has that. So let's remove that class name. I'll copy that. No. Something styling that, isn't it? Now the div has no styling on it. Okay, I'm gonna give up on this at this point. I think it's the best thing to do is to stop when I'm just going around in circles. So I do apologise for getting stuck on this, but I will get it sorted and explain the fix in the next stream. So let's go and find someone to raid, shall we? That's probably the best thing to do is to stop. Do you find it difficult? Okay, let's go and have a look. Let's just move this across. Let's have a look who's available. Let's go and raid Jitter Ted. Yeah, if you want to stick with the raid, then do join me to watch Jitter Ted. Otherwise, I'll see you next week when I'll have this sorted. I promise. But take care, everyone. Take care. Bye.